This story isn't just about a handsome man and a pretty conversation. It's about how easily people believe what they want to believe. It's about charm that feels honest and words that sound true. And it's about how one smooth talker can quietly change the way someone sees the world. If you keep listening, you'll see how a single evening, just cards, small talk, and polite smiles, turns into something much bigger. You'll see how a man with the right looks and the right story can make another man look like a villain without ever raising his voice. Tonight, everyone gathers at a relative's house. It feels harmless, cozy, almost boring. But that's where the real shift begins. Because this is the night when admiration starts to turn into belief, when sympathy starts to feel like truth, and when a confident, wounded voice begins to rewrite the past one sentence at a time. By the end of this chapter, you won't just know who people like, you'll understand why they choose sides so quickly. So yeah, this isn't about cards or tea or polite company. This is about influence and how dangerous it can be when someone knows exactly how to use it. So that evening, no one really objected to the plan. Mr. Collins tried his usual routine, acting worried about leaving Mr. and Mrs. Bennet alone for even one night, but nobody took him seriously. A coach was arranged, and Mr. Collins went to Meryton with all 5 of his cousins. As soon as the girls stepped into their aunt's drawing room, they heard the news that mattered most to them. Mr. Wickham was already there. Once everyone settled in, Mr. Collins finally had time to look around. And wow, he was impressed. He stared at the furniture, the size of the room, the setup, and then announced that it reminded him of one of Lady Catherine's smaller rooms at Rosings. At first, that didn't sound like much of a compliment, but once Mrs. Phillips heard who Lady Catherine was and how expensive her rooms were, she was suddenly honored. Honestly, she probably wouldn't have minded if he'd compared her place to a storage room, as long as Lady Catherine was involved. Mr. Collins went on and on about Lady Catherine's greatness, occasionally sliding in praise for his own house and recent upgrades. Mrs. Phillips listened closely, soaking it all up. She was clearly planning to repeat every detail to her neighbors later. The girls, meanwhile, were bored out of their minds. They wished there was music. They stared at decorations. Time felt slow. But finally, the men arrived. And when Mr. Wickham walked into the room, Elizabeth immediately noticed something important. Her admiration for him wasn't exaggerated. If anything, it felt justified. The officers were generally decent-looking and well-mannered, but Wickham stood out. His face, his posture, the way he walked, everything about him felt effortlessly charming. Compared to him, he started talking easily about something as boring as the weather, but somehow made it sound interesting. Elizabeth realized that with the right speaker, even the dullest topic could feel engaging. With Wickham and the officers around, Mr. Collins faded into the background. The young women barely noticed him anymore. Mrs. Phillips, however, still paid attention and kept him supplied with coffee and muffins. When card tables were set up, Mr. Collins joined Mrs. Phillips for a game, proudly announcing that while he didn't know the game well, he was eager to improve, especially given his position in life. Mrs. Phillips didn't wait to hear the rest. Wickham didn't play cards. Instead, he happily sat at the other table between Elizabeth and Lydia. Lydia talked non-stop at first, but once the lottery game started, she became completely absorbed. That left Wickham and Elizabeth free to talk. Elizabeth wanted to ask about Darcy, but didn't dare. To her surprise, Wickham brought it up himself. He casually asked about Darcy's stay in the area. Elizabeth replied and mentioned his large estate. Wickham confirmed it, and then revealed something unexpected. He'd known Darcy since childhood. Elizabeth was shocked. Wickham explained that their cold greeting the day before wasn't an accident. Elizabeth admitted she disliked Darcy and found him unpleasant. Wickham listened carefully, then suggested she probably wouldn't say that so openly anywhere else. Elizabeth didn't care. She said Darcy wasn't liked at all. Wickham agreed. He said people were blinded by Darcy's wealth and status and only saw what Darcy wanted them to see. Elizabeth called Darcy ill-tempered. Wickham only shook his head. Eventually, Wickham explained why Darcy caused him so much pain. Darcy's late father had been Wickham's closest friend. He'd promised Wickham a future in the church, but when the time came, Darcy gave the position to someone else. Elizabeth was horrified. Wickham explained the will had technical issues. Legally, he had no case. Darcy claimed Wickham was irresponsible and undeserving. Wickham insisted he'd done nothing wrong, except maybe speak too honestly. Elizabeth was furious on his behalf. She felt Darcy had acted cruelly and unjustly. Wickham said he believed jealousy played a role. Darcy couldn't stand the affection his father had shown Wickham. That old rivalry had never faded. Now Elizabeth saw Darcy in an even worse light. Still, Wickham admitted Darcy had good qualities. Pride sometimes made him generous and honorable, especially toward his family. He was a devoted brother. Elizabeth asked about Darcy's sister. Wickham said she was proud too, once kind, now distant. Their conversation shifted to lighter topics. Wickham spoke warmly about the town, the people, the social life. He admitted he needed company. Solitude weighed on him. That was why he chose the military. When cards ended, Mr. Collins proudly announced he'd lost every point, but insisted money meant nothing to him, thanks to Lady Catherine. Wickham noticed him and quietly asked Elizabeth about his connection to Lady Catherine. Elizabeth explained. Wickham added that Lady Catherine was Darcy's aunt. Her daughter, he said, was rumored to marry Darcy someday. Elizabeth smiled at the thought. As supper ended, Wickham's charm won everyone over. Elizabeth went home thinking of nothing else, except Wickham and everything he told her. The carriage ride back was loud. Lydia talked non-stop. Mr. Collins talked even more. Elizabeth stayed silent, but her mind was full.